The MCU is massive, which means there have been a ton of lines that are memorable to this day. These iconic and great lines can either make a character or moment really stand out, whether it be thought-provoking, emotional, serious, or funny. In this video, we're going to look back upon the 18 best lines. So let's get right into it.
You will never be a god.
Loki's best quote in the MCU comes before he is killed by Thanos. Loki knows from personal experience that there is a steep price for going too far to achieve a distorted sense of justice. While Thanos feels confident and self-assured about his plan to restore balance to the universe, Loki recognizes the Mad Titan's arrogance and gets in the last word before he draws his last breath. Loki states that Thanos is not a god and never will be. He is right, as Thanos' godlike behavior is ultimately his undoing.
I love you 3,000.
Tony Stark saved the universe, but the message he left in case of his death shows that he was always thinking about his family. He repeated his daughter's earlier line to him from Endgame and made it clear how much he loved her. Even though he is gone, his love for her will never fade. It is the simplest and most powerful way Tony could show Morgan how much he loved her and what his bond with her meant to him. The line has also come to encapsulate how MCU fans feel about Tony Stark, as it is impossible to adequately measure the deep love and appreciation they have for this character.
We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Hawkeye doesn't have superpowers, but he kept finding himself in situations where everyone else did. That's what makes his Avengers Age of Ultron line so perfect. Clint Barton spends his time as a man out of his element. He's always recognized that what's happening is outlandish, but he does his job anyway, just like all the rest of the heroes, and does it with a bow and arrow.
You should have gone for the head.
Many consider Thanos as the MCU's greatest villain. One of the contributing factors to this is his memorable dialogue. Infinity War immediately starts with him asserting himself as the ultimate foe. Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say, I am, he says as he shows off the Power Stone on his gauntlet. Even before Infinity War, Thanos sent shivers down our spine in the Age of Ultron post-credit scene, where he proceeds to put on the Infinity Gauntlet for the first time and menacingly states, "Fine, I'll do it myself." During Infinity War, there are countless other examples of both threatening and heartfelt lines, but one quote combines these two in an unforgettable way. Thanos' quote that killed half the universe: "You should have gone for the head."
I am Iron Man.
These 4 words were responsible for creating the Marvel Cinematic Universe as fans know it. Up until Iron Man, superheroes always had one necessary trait. They needed secret identities, such as Peter Parker battling with his identity in 3 movies. Meanwhile, Tony Stark never comes to experience any of those problems and decides to simply tell the entire world of his true identity on national TV. It was a perfect end to a groundbreaking movie and an ideal way to showcase both Stark's ego and his heroic personality.
I can do this all day.
There is no more memorable Captain America quote to describe Steve Rogers. From being beaten up as a scrawny kid in alleyways to facing robots and aliens as a national hero, his way of tackling his problems has always stayed the same. He is always willing to give his life for the greater good, and knows nothing is more important than saving lives. In other words, no matter how broken, beaten up, or tired Captain America is, he's always ready to fight until the very end. After repeating the same quote in 3 movies to 3 different opponents, he made it pretty clear that he can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
Following Black Panther's unexpectedly huge success, Wakanda Forever could be heard everywhere. Fans, celebrities, and world-class athletes spread the Black Panther outbreak with their attempts to replicate the cross-arms Wakandan salute. This war cry became the movie's unofficial slogan and was loved so much that the Black Panther sequel would be named Wakanda Forever.
He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
The Guardians of the Galaxy movies have a strong focus on the importance of found family. One of the best moments that demonstrates this is the sequel when it becomes clear that Yondu was more of Peter Quill's father than Ego ever was. Ego may be Peter's biological father, but Yondu is the one who raised Peter from when he was a young boy, was there for him, and shaped him into the man that he became. This makes Yondu Peter's real father, and this is only further solidified when Yondu sacrifices his life so Peter can live.
Whatever it takes.
There might not always be a consistent leader of the Avengers, but Captain America always manages to inspire them. He does it one more time as his story in the MCU as Steve Rogers comes to a close. Avengers Endgame offered one last team of the original Avengers as they set out to save everyone. Steve reminded the team over and over that they would do whatever it takes to bring back the people Thanos took from them in Infinity War. And that is part of what made the stakes in this movie so high. Every single one of the heroes was willing to lose their lives to save everyone else.
And for another, we have a Hulk.
Iron Man first declared the Avengers' possession of a Hulk to intimidate Loki, Earth's biggest threat, during the Battle of New York. Bruce Banner then managed to get himself from New York to Sokovia, to a different planet, and finally to an Asgardian spaceship, accompanied by a new heroic Loki. The God of Mischief then said the same quote himself to intimidate Thanos, the universe's biggest threat. What was first just a fun throwaway sentence became something much more significant. It marked Loki's journey from a villainous trickster to an unsung hero. As an added bonus, it also introduced fans to Infinity War's epic fight scene, Hulk vs. Thanos.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
Tony Stark became his mentor when Peter Parker joined the MCU, but the relationship between them wasn't smooth sailing at all. Peter wanted badly to prove that he is as great as a hero as the rest of the Avengers in Spider-Man: Homecoming, and his repeated attempts put him and Tony at odds. Though he had been gifted with a technologically advanced suit by Tony, Peter had to figure out just who he was without it. Like Tony, Peter proved that all the technology in the world doesn't make a hero. Instead, it's the choices they make.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
The Avengers was filled with insane jaw-dropping moments, but arguably the best character entrance in the movie came from Bruce Banner's last-second turn into the Hulk. In a matter of seconds, Banner went from nervous, nerdy scientist to unstoppable Avenger. It's one of the only times he has managed to remain absolutely calm in the entire MCU. The quote also serves as a crucial part of the Hulk story. By stating that he's always angry before transforming into the Green Goliath, it reveals that Bruce Banner has now total control over the Hulk.
We are Groot.
For a character who is only capable of saying the words I and am and Groot, exclusively in that order, as Rocket puts it, hearing him add a few new words to his limited vocabulary was great. Hearing him replace I with we is very intriguing. Hearing him say, we are Groot, as one final goodbye, while he sacrifices his life to save his fellow Guardians is even better. And yes, according to James Gunn, director of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot did actually die, and the baby teen Groot fans have seen since is his son.
There was an idea.
There was an idea, Stark knows this, called the Avengers Initiative. This idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more. See if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles we never could. This string of iconic sentences was Nick Fury's final step to succeed in the carefully planned out Avengers Initiative he had worked on since coming to Tony Stark in his first appearance. Years later, the first Infinity War trailer begins with the same speech. This wasn't just a motivational speech. This is the Avengers, a group of remarkable people who work together to become something more and to fight the battles no one else could. It's exactly what they did throughout the two Avengers movies, and what they neglected to do in Civil War, which then cost them half the universe.
Because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it.
This quote might have been overlooked at the time as a cool way for the inspiring Tony Stark to intimidate Loki in the Avengers. It is basically impossible for something as meaningful as this to not tie into a future movie. As a matter of fact, years later, Infinity War and Endgame gave this line a new meaning. Surprisingly, fans have rarely ever seen the Avengers avenge. They avenged the death of Phil Coulson in the first movie, which doesn't even really count due to the events of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Asgard is not a place. Never was. This could be Asgard. Asgard is where our people stand.
Odin's wise words help Thor see that Asgard is defined by its people and not by its location in the universe. This helps Thor see that he can save his home and his people from Hela, even if it means destroying the place that has been Asgard and his physical home ever since he was born. Even though the planet of Asgard is destroyed, Asgard lives on through its people on Earth.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
This list is full of quotes, crucial to either a character or the MCU as a whole. This one is different. The sole reason it being mentioned is that it became one of the most quoted lines in the MCU. And it became just that in a matter of minutes when Doctor Strange trapped Dormammu in a time loop by an endless wave of repeated words. But this quote is more than just an annoying joke. This smart tactic led to a rarely seen final act of a Marvel movie that doesn't center around a fight scene.
But what is grief? If not love, persevering.
Vision's line about grief is the most memorable quote in WandaVision, and is definitely one of the most memorable in the entire MCU. Not only do these words capture the essence of WandaVision's whole story, but it reshapes the way that we think about grief at the same time. It shows grieving as a sign of strength, a way for love to persevere past death. In some instances, it allows someone to love someone even more after they're gone. Even though Wanda's brother Pietro and the Vision she loved are dead, her love for them will always persevere. Those are the 18 best quotes in the MCU. If you think I missed any, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.